Have you guys ever experienced when someone words kind of like stuck in your head for maybe a day or two? Well, that's kind of like me. Okay, so welcome back. This week topic is about overthinking, which is like me. So I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this, but like I said earlier in the intro, like when you were like talking to someone and then they said something that is just stuck in your head for days or maybe weeks. Well, that's kind of like happened to me a lot, and it is really frustrating. Most of the time, it would be like maybe insult that is like you know insults that is not that deep, but I just take it and keep it personally. Like when maybe someone says that, oh my god, why are you so loud, maybe like why are you so loud, and I would just take that and think about it for days. And that shit is bad, bro. Like you know i I feel like I just take everything too seriously. I'm not sure if I can say that, but I think that is like part of like what makes you an overthinker. Like I would just keep thinking about that conversations for days and days, and then I'll be like, did I do something wrong, or like did I say anything wrong at all? But in reality, it's just them. The person saying it without thinking, without thinking much. About it. Like it's kind of like when you say something naturally, like oh my god, what the fuck, stuff like that. I'm not sure how to say this, but it is really frustrating for me, like to for my mind to be stuck onto a certain words from a certain person that they didn't mean anything. Like they just say it because like it's the right thing to say, or it's something they, how do I say this? Like even right now, I am like thinking over and over again on, am I saying this too bad? Like am I making, how does like, okay, this is overthinking right now in prime time. Like I'm thinking back, and I'm like, oh my god, you cannot speak. You should just click stop on the recording and retry, which I will not be doing because I want to be transparent as possible. So you are like stuck with me. You are kind of like stuck with the overthinking. So I'm not sure if you guys have this problem, but that's like one of my main problems. But I how to say it? I mostly overthink on like conversations, like what maybe I have serious conversations, right? And when that conversation is over, I'll just go sit alone and repeat the whole conversation and see if there's like anything I can improve, which is like so psychotic, like it's so weird to just repeat the whole conversations and try to think of like a better alternative to what I said previously, or like even on an argument, like kind of like when you just had an argument with someone and like maybe 2 or 3 hours later you came up with a better response. That is like kind of like what I do every time I have an argument with anyone at all. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to having to think over and over again on maybe like on an argument that doesn't really matter at all. Maybe it's like an argument about bread, or like um how do you say tomato or tomato, and I'll just think over and over again, which is so frustrating. And I can't stop thinking about it, and when I try to do something, like maybe I have an argument with someone and I try to like go do something else, like for example maybe drawing. Instead of drawing, I would just be thinking about the whole argument over and over and over again. And I can't concentrate when my brain is thinking about something else instead of like focusing on the drawing part. And it is really frustrating for me. Like it's like I can't do anything at all when my brain is stuck on a loop where it will just think over and over again. And I also have other like issues. For example, maybe you know I'm joking around with friends, right? And then they'll just say like something, like maybe something insulting, which normally it would not mean anything at all, because like um when you're in a group chat and when you're talking, it's normal to like be insulting each other, because you know like how to say it, it's not like insulting each other to make others feel bad. It's like just like okay, for example, like if you are playing some fighting games and your score is like 0 and 10, obviously your friend's gonna be like, okay, why are you so bad at this game? And like normally that would not affect anyone, but for some reason, like for me, I take that personally. And like I know, like I told myself that that insult means nothing, because it's just an insult that is said during the thing, but for some reason, like my brain would just take that, like take that personally, and it would send me on a spiral, like even though like we are good friends, my brain still for some reason thinks that he said that to make me feel bad, but he did not, like he said that just because it's in the moment, but my brain just keeps thinking about it over and over and over again. And like no matter like how many times I tell myself like, dude, stop, it's not that deep, my brain will just keep thinking about it, and most of the time, like the person who said it, they won't even remember saying the thing that they said, because it is not that deep, but I just keep thinking about it over and over and over again. This also applies to like more than just speaking with people. Like for example, how to say this? When I'm recording, for example, this podcast episode, I'll just mentally like talk. How to say this? Okay, this is bad, because what I want to do right now is just to stop the recording and redo it again. You know. So what I was trying to say back then was, before starting this podcast, I would just like mentally rehearse myself on like what I'm gonna say, or like what I'm gonna talk about before actually pressing the podcast, the record button. This also sometimes applies to when I am replying to my friends' stories, like their post on Instagram, and like sometimes I'll just send a message, like the reply to that story. Sometimes I'll just send it right away, but also sometimes I will like think about it before sending, which is like kind of annoying. You know, I would just like type the message out, but I won't send it yet. I'll just like think to myself, like, okay, should I send this or not? And before I know it, it's like 10 or 20 minutes later, and I know that sometimes you should think about it before sending a certain message, but for my case, most of the message are like general message. Like for example, if one of my friend went to, let's say, Europe or something like that, I will reply to them like, oh, nice, which country, or like how is the weather over there, stuff like that. But in also but like also in some cases I will send like that type of message, but I'll just think about it before sending for no reason at all. And it's a weird thing for me to having to think over a message that I'm gonna send to them. You know, it's kind of weird. And other and linking from like messaging to actually speaking in real life. Um, One of the thing I am constantly like thinking about is like how should or like what should I say next in our conversations. So like most of the time I'll try to make the conversations flow naturally, but also sometimes I'll like think ahead of what I should say next. And when I'm thinking about it like that, sometimes I would not be actually listening to the person I'm speaking with, and I'm kind of just zoned out thinking like what should I reply next, kind of like an options on it's like a game, and I'm thinking, not thinking, picking like which dialogue option I should do, and it will turn out to be, and what will actually turn, oh my god, I can't speak, and what actually will, and oh my god, why can't I speak? So, and okay, sorry about that. Just gotta mentally reset myself. So, what I was trying to say is that I zone out in the conversations, and what happened is that instead of like having natural conversations, like let the conversation flow naturally, the person I'm speaking to, they'll feel disconnected because like my face, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at them, but you know mentally I'm not. Mentally I am like thinking about what I should do next, and sometimes when it's a sensitive topic about the person I'm talking to, like they might feel like, okay, you are clearly not listening to me, and why should I give my time to you, stuff like that, and this shit ruined my relationships with a lot of people for like the stupidest reason ever. And I'll just have to like apologize to them, like, okay, I'm sorry, but you know how, what am I supposed to say? Like, okay, sorry dude, I was thinking about dialogue options. Fuck no, like that is weird. So like most of the time I just have to apologize vaguely, like, oh, I was, something came up in my mind, shit like that. And it is like I feel really bad because sometimes the person like they're actually saying something like they are insecure about, or like something that they don't want to share a lot, and like that shit just make me feel bad, bro. Like I hate the fact that I'm constantly like overthinking the smallest details ever, you know like I know sometimes it is good to like overthink some stuff, like for example, um when I'm at school, right? And I know that, okay, I did something really bad and I'm probably gonna get in trouble. I will like mentally prepare like a dialogue or an excuse that will get me out of trouble. And most of the times, I will, let I will like get off the hook. And I think that is like the only perk I can think of for someone who overthink, like just being able to prepare for the future. But like if you weigh the pros and the cons of an overthinker, I feel like the cons, they weighed more than the pros. And this is just like me speaking from my experience. I hate the fact that I overthink a lot of shit, and I can't let it go. Mostly like an insult that should not be taken personally. I feel like that is like the biggest, how to say this, the biggest kind of like a kryptonite towards me. Like I'll just like I'll feel I'll take it personally, and you know the next time I meet that person I'll act awkward because I think they hate me. but like in reality they just said it because it's something. bec- I can't think of the word I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes when you are like in a certain situations, and or like in a certain conversations, and it's only natural for you to speak, not speak, or like it's only natural to insult a person, like as a joke. I'll take that insult that is supposed to be a joke and think about it personally, and the next time I meet that person, I'll act weird. Like I'll be like, oh yeah, hi, stuff like that, and that person, they would notice, and they would be like, okay, why am I acting weird for no reason at all? And they wouldn't realize that I am doing it because of the insult. Not even insult, it's like a joke. I would like They won't even realize that they said something that hurts me. I'm not sure if I can say hurts me because I'm not hurt by the insult. Like mentally I'm not, but also I am like kind of hurt for some reason. I'm not sure how to say this. It's like this is just weird. I feel like only I don't know. It's hard to understand. I'm trying my best to convey what I'm trying to say right now. Like I think some of you might be able to relate, you know, to my situations where it's clearly a joke, but you are taking it too far. It's like the friend who can't take a joke at all. And I'm like that, but I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be a person who's like, okay, he can't be joked with. Let's avoid him, stuff like that. I don't want to be that. And, I try my best to not overthink stuff, but I still overthink. Do you understand? I don't think that I don't think this episode is like the how do I say this? I think this episode is the episode that makes zero sense so far. Also, thank you for the support in the previous episode. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think this is going to be the end of the third, third episode of the week. So thank you so much for joining me and listening to my rambling about overthinking shit. I don't know, but it is something that I struggle with on a daily basis, and it is really annoying. Even like replying to a comment, I think about that before actually replying. Like I think about it 2 or 3 minutes. No, not 2 or 3. Like 10 minutes at most. Like okay, how should I reply to a comment? Stuff like that. It is annoying. I hate it, but I'm 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 stuck with this. But lately I've been like trying to mentally talk to myself of like, okay, this is how to say this, like this is not that deep. That conversation is not that deep. The joke is a joke, stuff like that. Just trying to tell my brain that you know it's not that deep. I think that's what I've been trying to do lately, and it is working. Like it is working. It is actually working. But before in like 2 or 3 years ago, that shit is like it's like kryptonite. Right. I think that's gonna be it. Thank you for listening. Again, I'll see you guys next week, and I appreciate you guys for listening until listening this far. Yeah, not until this far. Listening this far. Oh my god, I need to stop with this bullshit of. I'm just gonna cut it. Okay, alright. Thank you guys. I'll see you next week.